Hello leaders, my name is Jason Graziani. Welcome to our channel, Leader for Life. Today I'm very excited to be covering episode number 4, which is the American institution in our 5-part American politics series. We've already covered the American individual, American worker, American security, and this is video number 4, which is American institutions. Now, as a full disclosure, I want you to know 3 points. Point number 1, this is a nonpartisan video. It's not about a political party. This is not about my opinion. This is not about me trying to tell you what to think. This is about me identifying, which is point number 2, identifying and simplifying the issues before you. And I'm going to do it by identifying 5 issues and then asking you a few questions to answer. You may have immediate responses to these questions and say, yeah, I know what I believe. I got what I stand for. But then there may be some questions that I ask that you may ponder today. And maybe when you're driving or when you're at work or when you're with your spouse or your kids, you could sit and have these discussions and talk about it. Or better yet, talk with yourself about what you believe. And the most important person in this entire conversation is you. It's what you believe and what you think. So let's go ahead and jump into 5 points on the American institution. First institution I want to draw your attention to, the American family. When I say American family, you could have your traditional family, your blood family, in your normal, parents, kids, in a household. But also you may have your work family, your sports family, your church family. Whatever community that you belong in, whoever you associate family to be is who I'm talking about. Most important question to ask with these families, are values and principles important? Now, I will answer that first part because most people will tell you, well, yes, it is. Okay, great. So the follow-up question would be, what are the values and principles that you hold most dear and true to your heart? And within that family or that organization, do the other members know what the most important values and principles are? Have you clearly defined those? I could tell you in offices that I've ran in the past with my businesses and my teams, we've had on the wall, big sign, principles. And we all decided together what principles were most important in our office. We've had what's called code of honor, which means something that we all stand for. In the Christian faith, they will have the 10 commandments and many other principles that are important. But every organization that's achieved a level of success has a set of values and a set of principles that are most important to that organization. And so it's very important. What values are most important? Who teaches them? And how are they taught? Think about that and write that down. Just write down values and principles. Do I know them, and do the people around me that I work with know them as well? Number 2, marriage and parenting. I couldn't tell you how many books and research articles you could read about successful marriages, how to raise children, all these different things. And by the way, if you believe, as a listener, if you believe that you have the secret to marriage, if you believe that you have, hey, I've got 3 points, I've got 7 points, I know these 5 things really work, whether it's about marriage or parenting, I would love for you to comment on this video because I could use that for other content, and I know that our listeners would love to hear other success stories from our viewers. But I want to give you some statistics. When you study the success rate of an individual in our country, maybe economically, where they live, what they drive, what career they have, how much money they make. All the economic statistics will tell you this. The people that do 3 things in order, graduate high school, get married, have children, in that order, tend to have the highest success rate in America. Now, I'm not saying that you're bad if you didn't do that. Heck, many people in my family didn't do that order. But those are the statistics. So, if we know that graduating high school, getting married, and then having children after the first 2 are complete, will produce a higher likelihood of successful children, then I believe one of the goals would be to foster more family units. And again, that family unit, you could decide what that is, but we need to have more people coming together to be able to teach and help each other. What philosophies do you have in raising the children? Now, we all know that kids today are being raised by their devices. I mean, I've even had amazing parents, people that are really dedicated to the upbringing of their children say, it's like I can't get these kids off their device. It's like they're reading them all day long. They're watching, they're swiping, they're clicking, they're tapping, they're doing all these different things. And that's true. And we're not going to be able to get away from the technology evolution that we've had as a society. But here's a question. How do we instill those morals and principles and values into the children when oftentimes their mind is distracted and they've got a lot of competing priorities for their attention right now? I'd love to get some tips on this one, even for my own kids. Number 3, church and state. Here's a question for you. What role, if any, and it's your decision, what role does church and religion have in our society? You may answer it definitely has a role, and you may say, no, it does not have a role. I'll ask you a question for each of those parties. If you believe church has a role and religion has a role in our society, here's the question. How, who, and where do we teach it? What is the most appropriate way to teach and have that integrated into our society? And if you believe that church, I believe in a separation of church and state, Jason, why would you even bring this up? Okay, if that's your viewpoint, here's a question that I have for you. What does a secular society stand for? What values and principles would a secular society have if there was no church or religion inside the country? You have to answer that question. Or you don't have to, but this is a question that's going to be asked if you say, well, I don't want church to be around. Okay, well then what values do we have? Do we have no values? Will we be able to sustain ourselves as a country long term if we don't? It's a good question. You could think about that one for a while. Number 4, the education, specifically the university system. This one hits near and dear to my heart, given the fact that I invested over 6 figures into going to a private education. Most families and most parents will say something to this effect to their young children. I want you to get good grades. I want you to go to a good school, and I want you to get a good job. What's happening is you're identifying going to a good school with getting a good job, meaning the purpose for the education decision in many cases is economics, that you're trying to advance yourself economically or get a better high-paying job. Well, if that's the case, a couple questions for you. Why is it in the United States of America that we spend more per capita at every level of education, from elementary all the way to the college level? We spend more money and have the best schools and the best universities in the world. Why is the American student falling behind world ranking averages all across the board in almost every subject? And this is very commonplace knowledge. Why is that? Who's teaching it? Who's at fault? How do we fix it? And if students are going to a university to advance themselves economically, but ending up in a lot of student loan debt, many times even moving back in with parents who can't even support to take care of themselves into retirement, but now they're taking care of their children who are at the house, how is it that universities on average are raising their tuition 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% per year, whether it's good economic or down economic times? Another question is this: how in the world are we enabling our universities to operate as tax-free institutions? And I read recently that the 100th university in the United States of America passed $1 billion in its endowment fund. I don't see any of the students with $1 billion. How is it that the place that's educating is ending up with more money than the people that they're educating? I don't know. But those are questions that you want to decide. Where does the university and where does our education system lie in American values and in our country as it pertains to politics? Lastly, number 5 is this. What role does the local, state, and federal government have in decision-making in our life? We as citizens have to decide that. What decisions in your life do you want to be done at a local level? Do you want your hospitals and your schools and your police stations and your roads and bridges to be decided by local authorities? What type of decisions do you want your state authorities to make? And ultimately, what decisions should we empower the federal government to make? Some decisions need to be done at a federal level. Maybe that's security of our country, foreign affairs, maybe it's Social Security or Medicare, Medicaid, and these types of items. But what types of decisions should we have pushed down more towards a local level? And here's another question. Should our education system, our curriculum, be decided locally at the state level, or should we let federal bureaucrats make those decisions for local schools? That's a question for you. Our healthcare system, our foreign policy, where do we make those decisions and how do we make those decisions? And another example would be at the federal level when we look at our 3 branches, the executive branch, which is the president, the legislative branch, which is the Congress, or our Supreme Court and the court system. Are all those branches operating to their full efficiency right now? Are they being a little bit too political? Does the court system, how do you feel about these different things? And I think that you should have an opinion on it, at least to start that dialogue, because we can't count on somebody else to fix the problems, and just complaining isn't going to get things done. Listen, team, as we wrap up this video, it's very important to know this. I have my own concerns with the country. I'm sure you have concerns. And I know that if we all got together, we could just pile on all of our complaining, all of our blaming, all of our frustrations into one big pile. And that pile wouldn't get solved, and nothing is going to happen with that pile unless we start coming to the table with solutions. One of the best systems to have within your local teams, whether you're running your church, or you're running your sports program, or you're running your nonprofit, or you're running your business, one of the best things to have is to try to encourage the people around you to not bring problems to your plate, but to bring solutions to your plate. Because if they come with the problem, have them have a solution ready for you. So, hey boss, hey teacher, hey ma'am, I got a question right now. There's a big problem I'm dealing with. Great, we have problems, we're gonna solve it. But before you tell me the rest of the problem, what's your first solution to the problem? I don't know, I just wanted you to do that. One of the best things we could do for our fellow citizens is to encourage them to bring a solution every time they bring a problem. It may not be the right solution, but at least it'll start the dialogue going in the right direction. And I think that we can make great decisions overall. So now, regardless of how you feel about these issues, two very important points to cover that I've done on each of the videos that we've done about American politics, which is this. Number one, whatever group you're currently leading, whether it's one person, 10 people, 100 or 1,000 or more, you're going to have competing viewpoints, opinions, areas of passion that could sometimes lead to disagreements, and if done improperly, can lead to arguments and sometimes loss of a relationship. The entire part of being a leader is to try to influence people for the good and to try to set a good example. It's not to please everybody necessarily, but it is to respect everybody. And so on point number one, I want you to know that there has to be a level of compassion that you show to the people around you so that they feel that they could disagree with you, but still have a place in your world, that still have a place in your office, to still have a place that they're still valued, even if they don't agree with you, because what you don't want is you don't want people to stop talking because they're afraid to tell you how they feel. But number two is also correct. You can't not stand for something in an effort to make everybody else around you happy, because then you will lose your level of respect, and that loss of respect will pretty much eliminate you from the leadership position that you so admire. And so number one, again, is to have a healthy level of compassion towards their feelings, anybody that you work with and anybody that you're currently leading, and that you also have a deeply rooted conviction, but you don't lose yourself in the process of hearing their opinions. So whether you're leading a family, church, business, school, we covered that already. The free-flowing idea, the free-flowing exchange of ideas is imperative to a successful democracy. Don't ever forget that. I am hammering that point at the end of every politic video that we ever have, is that without the free-flowing transfer of ideas, where both sides feel comfortable and safe to share their opinion without fear of retribution, retaliation, marginalization, or any of those types of things, that you could freely share your ideas, inevitably the best idea will come out on top. Be careful to negate the person, okay? Make sure you listen to their message. If the message is a good idea, it doesn't matter who it comes from. It's better for everybody. And if the message is a bad idea, you should feel comfortable disagreeing with that. I think we covered that at length. I'm excited for this material. I'm excited for you to share this with other people, especially those that need to kind of get their political juices flowing. Maybe they say, politics isn't just for me. I don't think that that's true for anybody. I believe that there's a subject inside of anybody and everybody that they're passionate about, but maybe they don't have their positions rooted. Maybe they feel uncomfortable talking about what they feel. And I think that these types of videos can help encourage them. Maybe it's from the Leader for Life channel, which I encourage you to subscribe to immediately. Or maybe it's from another platform, and I encourage you to go question what I said. Disagree with anything that I ever say, and I'm completely open to hearing your feedback, because I think, especially on a topic like this, I would love to hear your marriage tips. I would love to hear your parenting tips. I would love to hear what values and principles in your American family are most important to you, because I could copy from you, you could copy from me, and together we could all improve ourselves. Like our content, share it with others, subscribe to our channel, and please let us know by commenting below if there's anything that you'd like to see on future videos. With that being said, you guys take care, God bless, and I'll see you at the top. Bye-bye.